Throughout history, powerful figures have risen to fame, only to mysteriously vanish without a trace. Some were fearless leaders, others were rising stars, and a few found themselves entangled in dangerous conspiracies. Their disappearances have baffled investigators, sparked countless theories, and left behind haunting questions that may never be answered. From a British aristocrat accused of murder to an American congressman who vanished mid-flight, from a Hollywood actress who left behind a cryptic note to a wartime hero who walked into Soviet custody and was never seen again. These are the stories of 7 political and public figures who stepped into the unknown and never returned. What really happened to them? Join us as we unravel the chilling mysteries of those who disappeared without a trace. The mysterious disappearance of Lord Lucan. Richard John Bingham, better known as Lord Lucan, was a British aristocrat who vanished under baffling circumstances on the 7th of November 1974 night of November 7th, 1974. His disappearance remains one of the most enduring mysteries in British history, captivating the public and investigators alike for decades. Before his vanishing, Lord Lucan was a well-known figure in London's high society, recognized for his love of gambling, expensive lifestyle, and turbulent marriage to Veronica Duncan, the Countess of Lucan. Their marriage had collapsed in the early 1970s, resulting in a bitter custody battle over their 3 children. Lord Lucan, who had lost significant wealth due to gambling, was forced to move out of the family's grand Belgravia home, further fueling his resentment. The night of his disappearance was marked by a horrifying event. Sandra Rivet, the nanny employed by Lady Lucan, was found bludgeoned to death in the basement of the Lucan family home. Lady Lucan, covered in blood, ran into a nearby pub, claiming that her estranged husband had attacked her and murdered the nanny, mistaking her for his wife. According to her, Lord Lucan had burst into the house, struck her repeatedly, and then fled. Investigators quickly focused on Lucan as the prime suspect, and an extensive manhunt began. However, Lord Lucan had already taken steps to disappear. That same evening, he had driven to a friend's house in Sussex, where he made a phone call to his mother, claiming he had stumbled upon a violent altercation at his home, but had been falsely accused of murder. He then abandoned his car, a Ford Corsair, which was later found blood-stained and abandoned in New Haven, a coastal town. Some speculated that he might have used a ferry to escape to France, while others believed he had met with associates who helped him disappear. Theories surrounding his fate have been numerous and diverse. Some believe he fled to Africa or South America, possibly assuming a new identity and living out his years in secrecy. Reports and alleged sightings of Lord Lucan surfaced over the years, with claims that he had been seen in Australia, India, and even as a Buddhist monk in Nepal. None of these claims were ever substantiated. Others, however, argue that he never left Britain at all, suggesting that he may have taken his own life, either by drowning in the English Channel or hiding in a remote location. Despite several investigations and periodic resurgence of interest in the case, Lord Lucan was never conclusively found. In 1999, he was officially declared dead in absentia, and in 2016, a death certificate was issued, allowing his son to inherit the family title. Even so, questions still linger about what truly happened on that fateful night in 1974. Did he escape with powerful allies' help, or did he perish shortly after his disappearance? The case of Lord Lucan remains an unsolved mystery that continues to intrigue conspiracy theorists, crime enthusiasts, and historians alike. The mysterious disappearance of Hale Boggs. Hale Boggs was a prominent American politician, serving as the majority leader of the U.S. House of Representatives at the time of his mysterious disappearance on October 16, 1972. A longtime Democratic congressman from Louisiana, Boggs was a significant political figure known for his involvement in the Warren Commission, which investigated the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. He was also an outspoken critic of the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover, advocating for government transparency and civil rights legislation. His political prominence made his disappearance all the more shocking and the subject of numerous conspiracy theories. On the day of his vanishing, Boggs was traveling in a twin-engine Cessna 310 aircraft along with Alaska Congressman Nick Begich, political aide Russell Brown, and pilot Don Johns. The group was flying from Anchorage to Juneau, Alaska, for a campaign event when their plane disappeared without a trace. Despite extensive search efforts involving the U.S. military, Coast Guard, and civilian volunteers, no wreckage, debris, or human remains were ever found. The search, one of the most extensive in American history, covered 325,000 square miles and lasted for 39 days before being officially called off. The circumstances surrounding Boggs' disappearance fueled speculation and conspiracy theories. Some believed that mechanical failure or severe weather caused the crash, while others suggested foul play. Boggs had been vocal about his concerns regarding the FBI's power and secrecy, leading some to theorize that he had been deliberately silenced. Another theory suggested that the plane was sabotaged, possibly by political enemies or intelligence agencies wary of his influence. Adding to the mystery, no emergency distress signal was ever detected, and the Cessna 310 was not equipped with the modern tracking devices that could have made locating it easier. Over the years, various alleged sightings and clues surfaced, but none led to the plane's discovery. In 1973, a year after his disappearance, Hale Boggs was declared legally dead, but the questions surrounding what happened to him and the others aboard the plane remain unanswered. The case continues to captivate historians, conspiracy theorists, and aviation experts. Some believe the aircraft is still buried somewhere in the vast, rugged Alaskan wilderness, waiting to be discovered. Others hold on to the possibility that more sinister forces were at play, ensuring that Boggs' fate would remain a mystery. To this day, his disappearance stands as one of American politics' most puzzling unsolved cases, leaving behind a legacy of speculation and intrigue. The mysterious disappearance of Michael Rockefeller. Michael Rockefeller, the son of former U.S. Vice President Nelson Rockefeller and a member of one of America's most powerful families, mysteriously vanished on November 17, 1961, while on an expedition in the remote jungles of Papua New Guinea. His disappearance remains one of the most famous missing persons cases in modern history, spawning decades of speculation, conspiracy theories, and investigations. Rockefeller, 23 years old at the time, was a Harvard graduate with a passion for anthropology and exploration. He had traveled to Dutch New Guinea, now part of Indonesia, as part of an expedition to study the Asmat people, an indigenous tribe known for their intricate wood carvings and unique cultural practices. Fascinated by their art and eager to collect artifacts for museums back home, Rockefeller immersed himself in their world, but his journey took a fateful turn when his boat capsized while traveling along the coast with Dutch anthropologist René Wassing. The boat drifted approximately 12 miles from shore before Rockefeller, confident in his swimming ability, decided to try and reach land by himself. His last recorded words before diving into the water were, "I think I can make it." He was never seen again. Wassing, who remained on the capsized boat, was later rescued by locals. But by then, Rockefeller had vanished into the vast and dangerous waters. The official explanation for his disappearance was drowning. Given the strong currents and potential for exhaustion, authorities believed he had succumbed to the sea. However, speculation about his fate grew when no body was ever recovered, despite extensive search efforts led by the Dutch government, Rockefeller's family, and even the U.S. military. Some theories suggest that he was attacked and killed by sharks or crocodiles, both of which were common in the area. However, another far more chilling theory emerged, one that suggested Rockefeller had fallen victim to cannibalism. The Asmat people had a history of intertribal warfare and headhunting, though they had reportedly ceased the practice by the time Rockefeller arrived. Yet some reports suggest that certain Asmat warriors might have killed and consumed him as an act of revenge against Dutch colonial forces, whom they associated with past violence against their people. Decades later, journalists and investigators uncovered accounts from locals claiming that a white man had indeed been captured, killed, and eaten. Some even alleged that his skull had been kept as a trophy. Despite these unsettling rumors, no conclusive evidence has ever surfaced. Over the years, various reports and unverified sightings have fueled speculation that Rockefeller may have survived and assimilated into the Asmat tribe, though there is little proof to support this claim. In 1964, he was officially declared dead, but the uncertainty surrounding his fate continues to intrigue historians and adventure seekers. Michael Rockefeller's disappearance remains one of the most perplexing and eerie mysteries of the 20th century. Whether he drowned, was killed by wildlife, or met a darker fate at the hands of the Asmat, his story continues to captivate and mystify, ensuring his place in the annals of history as one of the most famous missing persons of all time. The mysterious disappearance of Solomon Northup. Solomon Northup, a free African-American man from New York, was best known for his harrowing memoir, 12 Years a Slave, which recounted his kidnapping in 1841 and subsequent enslavement in the American South. His detailed account became one of the most significant first-hand narratives of slavery in U.S. history. However, despite surviving over a decade of brutal captivity and regaining his freedom, Northup himself eventually disappeared under mysterious circumstances, leaving behind more questions than answers. Born in 1807 or 1808 in New York, Northup was a free man who worked as a farmer and violinist. In 1841, he was deceived by two men who promised him work as a musician in Washington, D.C. Instead, he was drugged, kidnapped, and sold into slavery in Louisiana, where he remained for 12 years. His ordeal ended when he was rescued in 1853, thanks to letters he had managed to send to Northern contacts. His story became widely known after he published his memoir, exposing the horrors of slavery and advocating for abolition. After regaining his freedom, Northup dedicated himself to activism, speaking out against slavery and assisting fugitive slaves. He worked with the Underground Railroad and gave lectures, using his personal experience to push for change. However, as time passed, his whereabouts became increasingly unclear. The last definitive record of Northup places him in Canada in the early 1860s, involved in anti-slavery efforts. After that, he vanished from historical records without explanation. Theories about his disappearance abound. Some believe he was abducted again and either re-enslaved or killed, possibly by those who resented his activism. The idea that pro-slavery forces may have targeted him for retribution is not far-fetched, as Northup had become a vocal opponent of the institution that had once imprisoned him. Others suggest that he may have fallen into poverty or obscurity, his later years undocumented. Some records hint that he may have died in Louisiana, but no verified grave or official death record exists. Adding to the mystery is the absence of contemporary newspaper reports or legal documents confirming his fate. Given his prominence after regaining freedom, one would expect some record of his later years, yet nothing definitive has surfaced. Some accounts claim he was last seen helping enslaved people escape, which fuels speculation that he may have been captured or murdered. To this day, Solomon Northup's final years remain an enigma. His memoir remains a powerful testament to resilience and injustice, but his disappearance is a haunting reminder of the dangers faced by freedmen and abolitionists in a divided America. Whether he was kidnapped once more, met with foul play, or simply faded into obscurity, the fate of Solomon Northup remains one of history's great unsolved mysteries. The mysterious disappearance of Raoul Wallenberg. Raoul Wallenberg, a Swedish diplomat and humanitarian, vanished under mysterious circumstances in 1945, leaving behind a legacy of heroism and a case that remains unresolved to this day. During World War II, Wallenberg was instrumental in saving tens of thousands of Hungarian Jews from the Holocaust, using his position as Sweden's special envoy in Budapest to issue protective passports and provide safe houses. His courageous efforts earned him worldwide recognition, but they also put him in the crosshairs of the advancing Soviet forces. On January 17, 1945, as the Red Army took control of Budapest, Wallenberg was detained by Soviet authorities under unclear circumstances. He had previously expressed concerns that the Soviets might not trust his activities, despite Sweden's neutral stance in the war. Some reports suggest he voluntarily sought a meeting with Soviet officials, possibly to discuss post-war plans for Hungary. However, instead of being allowed to continue his humanitarian work, he was arrested and taken to Moscow. For years, the Soviet Union remained tight-lipped about Wallenberg's fate. It wasn't until 1957 that Soviet officials admitted he had been imprisoned, claiming he had died of a heart attack in Moscow's Lubyanka prison on July 17, 1947. However, many historians and former prisoners dispute this claim, believing Wallenberg may have been executed or kept alive for years under harsh conditions. Eyewitnesses later reported sightings of a man matching Wallenberg's description in Soviet prisons and labor camps well into the 1950s and even the 1980s. These accounts fueled speculation that he had been used as a political pawn in Cold War tensions and possibly kept alive for intelligence reasons. One of the prevailing theories is that the Soviets suspected Wallenberg of being a spy due to his close ties with American intelligence and his ability to navigate war-torn Europe with remarkable effectiveness. Some believe he was interrogated and ultimately silenced to prevent sensitive information from being revealed. Others suggest he might have been traded or held as a bargaining chip, a practice not uncommon during the Cold War. Despite repeated requests from Sweden, international organizations, and even Wallenberg's own family, the Russian government has never provided conclusive evidence about his fate. In 2016, Sweden officially declared him dead, but the details surrounding his demise remain a mystery. Declassified Soviet documents and testimonies from former prisoners continue to suggest that Wallenberg may have lived much longer than officially stated, leaving open the possibility that he perished in the depths of the Soviet prison system under circumstances that have yet to be uncovered. To this day, the disappearance of Raoul Wallenberg remains one of the most haunting mysteries of World War II. Celebrated as a hero for his efforts to save innocent lives, he ultimately became a victim of the very forces he sought to counter. His fate may never be fully known, but his legacy as a symbol of courage and humanitarianism endures. The mysterious disappearance of Subhas Chandra Bose. Subhas Chandra Bose, a prominent Indian nationalist and leader of the Indian independence movement against British rule, vanished under mysterious circumstances in 1945. Revered for his defiant resistance to British imperialism and his leadership of the Indian National Army, INA, Bose's disappearance remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in Indian history, with numerous theories and controversies surrounding his fate. According to official accounts, Bose was last seen on August 18, 1945, when he boarded a Japanese military plane in Taipei, Taiwan. Reports state that the aircraft crashed shortly after takeoff due to engine failure, leading to his death from severe burns. Japanese doctors allegedly attempted to save him, but he succumbed to his injuries later that night. His remains were said to have been cremated, and his ashes were sent to Tokyo's Renkoji Temple. However, this version of events has been widely disputed, particularly because no definitive proof of the crash or Bose's death was ever produced. The British authorities were skeptical, and many of Bose's closest associates refused to believe he had perished in the crash. His family and supporters pointed to inconsistencies in eyewitness testimonies, lack of photographic evidence of his body, and missing official documents that could confirm the incident. Over the decades, multiple theories about his disappearance have emerged. Some believe that Bose faked his own death to escape capture by the British and later lived in secrecy, either in the Soviet Union or in China. There are accounts suggesting that he sought refuge in Russia under Joseph Stalin's protection, but was later imprisoned or executed by Soviet authorities to maintain diplomatic ties with Britain. Others claim that he returned to India under a disguised identity, with some alleging that he lived as a hermit named Gumnami Baba in Uttar Pradesh until his death in 1985. This theory gained traction after a trunk filled with Bose-related documents, photographs, and personal belongings was discovered in the ascetic's possession. The Indian government conducted several inquiries into Bose's disappearance, including the Shah Nawaz Committee, 1956, the Khosla Commission, 1970, and the Mukherjee Commission, 1999 to 2005. While the first two upheld the plane crash theory, the Mukherjee Commission rejected it, stating that there was no conclusive evidence to confirm that Bose had died in 1945. However, the commission failed to provide an alternative explanation, leaving the mystery unresolved. Bose's disappearance continues to be a subject of intense debate in India. His followers believe that the truth about his fate has been deliberately concealed, possibly due to political sensitivities and international relations at the time. Even today, many Indians question whether their beloved leader truly perished in 1945 or if he lived in obscurity, away from the limelight. Regardless of his fate, Subhas Chandra Bose remains one of India's most revered figures. His famous call, "Give me blood, and I will give you freedom," continues to inspire generations, and his legacy as a fearless leader and patriot remains untouched by the enigma surrounding his disappearance. The mysterious disappearance of Jean Spangler. Jean Spangler, a rising Hollywood actress and model, vanished under baffling circumstances on the evening of October 7, 1949. Her disappearance remains one of the most enduring and puzzling mysteries in Hollywood history, entangled in rumors of secret affairs, the criminal underworld, and even a possible connection to the infamous Black Dahlia case. Spangler, 26 years old at the time, was a young mother striving to build a career in the film industry. She had appeared in minor roles in films and worked as a dancer, hoping to gain prominence in Hollywood. On the evening she disappeared, she told her sister-in-law that she was going to meet her ex-husband, Dexter Benner, to discuss child support for their daughter and then head to a night shoot for a movie. She never returned home. 2 days later, Spangler's purse was discovered in Griffith Park, Los Angeles. The handbag strap was torn, suggesting a possible struggle. Inside was an unfinished note addressed to someone named Kirk, which read, "Kirk, can't wait any longer. Going to see Dr. Scott. It will work best this way while Mother is away." This cryptic message became a focal point of the investigation, raising several alarming questions. Who was Kirk? Who was Dr. Scott? What couldn't she wait for? The case took a bizarre turn when police investigated her known associates. One of the most widely speculated leads was actor Kirk Douglas, who was at the peak of his career at the time. Since Spangler had worked as an extra on one of his films, rumors circulated that he might have been the Kirk mentioned in her note. However, Douglas denied knowing her personally and was never linked to her disappearance. Investigators also pursued the theory that Spangler may have been involved in an underground abortion network. Abortion was illegal in 1949, and many women sought secretive procedures that were often dangerous. Some believed that Dr. Scott could have been a reference to an unlicensed doctor, and that she may have died as a result of a botched procedure. However, no known doctor by that name was ever identified, and no evidence of an abortion was found. The case grew darker when Spangler's connections to Los Angeles's criminal underworld came to light. She was reportedly dating a known mobster linked to Mickey Cohen, a powerful crime figure in the city. Some speculated that she had gotten too close to the wrong people and was silenced. Others wondered if her disappearance was connected to the infamous Black Dahlia murder of Elizabeth Short, another aspiring actress who had been brutally killed in 1947. While both cases involved young women trying to make it in Hollywood, no direct connection was ever established. Despite exhaustive police investigations, multiple theories, and countless rumors, no trace of Jean Spangler was ever found. No body was recovered, no further clues surfaced, and no one was ever charged in relation to her disappearance. Her daughter, who was only 5 at the time, grew up never knowing what happened to her mother. Over the decades, Spangler's case has remained a chilling Hollywood enigma. Was she the victim of a secretive medical procedure gone wrong? Did she fall into the hands of the city's notorious crime syndicates? Or did she leave willingly, vanishing into obscurity for reasons unknown? With no definitive answers, John Spangler's disappearance remains one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in Hollywood history.